We have to be afraid of one sin. Because only one sin can be that time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us into account and we could die on that sin. Remember the Prophet ﷺ said that the angel comes to the stomach of the person when after 120 days, 3 periods of 40 days, 120 days, to breathe in the spirit into the body. And he comes with 4 words. The person's ajalihi, his time period, rizqihi, everything he will consume, every drop of water, every drop of air, he will consume. In his a'malihi, in his actions. And if he's going to be happy or sad. Meaning, is he going to go to heaven or is he going to go to hellfire? And the Prophet ﷺ continued, he said, look, he said a person can do all the actions of heaven until he's at his last distance. This of an arm's length between him and heaven. And then what is written for him overtakes him, he does the actions of hellfire. And a person can do all the actions of hellfire until between him and hellfire is a distance of an arm's length. And he does the actions of heaven and he goes to heaven. So, we are known in Islam that we will be resurrected on what we died upon. That's why we have to fear one sin. Every sin is equal in the sense that every sin is disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every sin cuts us off from Allah's grace. Some sins have curses attached to them. You know, if you do zina, you can get what we call 18 years bad luck. In this country, it's 18 years bad. There's one zina, an hour of someone's time, 18 years bad luck. I mean, who is going to sell an hour of their life for 18 years? Allahu Akbar. So, but each sin has all are equal in the sense they have the ability to put us in Allah's displeasure. And the small sins push us further and further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It takes us out of His obedience and into His transgression. And only through His grace, by doing more and more obediences, that we come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember the hadith about the wali. It says that no one approaches Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made wajib upon him, what is made fard with him. There's nothing we can approach better than the 5 daily salats on time. Nothing we can approach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better. There's no fast better than the fast of Ramadan. There's no pilgrimage better than the pilgrimage to Mecca in the time of Hajj. You could perform 1,000 umrah outside of Hajj, it don't equal one Hajj. You'll never win. Allahu Akbar. And that person, he's going to keep approaching Allah with extra acts. Remember, the wajibat is just the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. That's what makes you a Muslim. If you don't doing extra acts, where's your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You're like a munafiq. Munafiq is the one who don't love Allah, don't love His Prophet, and don't love the Muslims. This whole religion is based off of love. The whole test of this life is, do you love Allah's friends or do you hate Allah's friends? And the chief of Allah's friends is Rasoolullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is Sultanul Anbiya. He is Khatamul Anbiya. He is the chief, the king, the master, the sultan of all the prophets. And awliya, saints, they get their light from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So prophets get their light from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and awliya get their light from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is like the past and the future. They meet at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at his advent. Everything in the past was for his advent. All the prophets in the past exist because the Quran talk about them for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to have in the Quran. And all the people exist to follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even those prophets who died before, they all made dua, make me from the ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rejected all the dua except for the dua of Nabi Isa. He accepted this dua and He allowed him to be saved from the plots and plans of the Romans and the Jews, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. And He resurrected him, and He's reserving him to come back for a special purpose. He is the Messiah, and He's the only one who can destroy the false Messiah. Allah is just. If someone's going to come back and claim to be Isa, the Messiah, Allah says, you know what? I'm going to save the real Messiah till that time comes, and I'm going to release him on him, and he's going to melt in His presence. Because haqq has come, and falsehood has vanished. Indeed, falsehood is guaranteed to vanish. So how do we get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We find in this hadith that we do extra acts. And the Prophet ﷺ said, no one keeps doing extra acts except for I become the hand that he grabs with, the foot that he walks with, the eye that he sees with. Should he make dua to me, I'll answer it. And should someone show enmity towards him, hatred towards him, I will declare war against that person. This is the station, the maqam of awliya Allah, of Allah's saints. Their station come from the station of Prophet ﷺ. That's why when you find a real wali, that wali, he has the direct connection to Prophet ﷺ. Direct connection means he is emulating Prophet ﷺ in his khalq and in his khulq, in his outward appearance and his inward manifestations, his inward states. And inward states are much harder. They're much harder to achieve patience, forbearance, piety. How many of us, we go home, we turn on the TikTok, we turn on YouTube, we turn on the internet, we turn on television, we see someone slay another person. We see someone commit zina. We see someone drink alcohol. We don't change the channel. We're alone in our house. Now, if the other Muslims were with you, you say, oh, Akhi, I don't watch this, let's watch something else. Taqwa is tested, not in front of people, but behind closed doors. So these awliya Allah, they get their light from the light of Prophet ﷺ. And they get their light, the Prophet ﷺ said many hadith about the virtues of praying upon him. This is an act that no other act is like. The fuqaha in the awliya Allah, so the jurists, the people who study the law of Islam, and awliya Allah, the people who practice the manifestations of Islam, the Prophet ﷺ, his sunnah is three things. Is aqwal, his speech, his af'al, his actions, and his ahwal, his states. They say mawlud is haram. Well, it's not permissible to call something haram or call something bid'ah. Bid'ah means haram. It's the same thing. To say something is haram is not haram is a very serious thing. It's shirk billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you're pushing Allah off his throne and you're sitting on his throne and you're legislating a halal and haram. That's why Imam Malik, when he was asked about eating the dog meat, he said it's makruh. Why? Because there's no sahih hadith that he could find that exists, that he said is authentic enough that he could say it's haram, and there's no ayah in the Quran. So he wants to say haram, but Imam Malik has taqwa. He was asked 100 questions, 50 of them he says, I don't know. The guy came from Iraq. He said, what am I supposed to tell the people of Iraq? You're Imam Malik. I traveled this great distance, great hardship. All these people want to know what you say about these things, and you're saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. He said, tell them Imam Malik doesn't know. So here you want to say the dog meat was haram, he couldn't, he said makruh. Why? Because he knows it's haram to push Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's shirk, to push Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala off his throne and sit on his throne and make halal and haram. You've made yourself a part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in legislation, which is one of the most serious types of shirk. When you say, I want to be Allah, I want to legislate. Remember, why did Iblis get kicked out? Iblis is just like us Muslims in one sense. He prayed. He performed so much ibadah that he filled the heavens and the earth with it. And he became the imam of the angels. We think, oh, we're safe because we do ibadah. No. If you show that arrogance and you push Allah off his throne, you want to sit on his throne, you're just like Iblis. And what does Iblis say? Ana khayra minhu, I'm better than him. He did the first qiyas. He said, I made a fire, he's made a clay. Fire, it goes up, clay goes down. What goes up has to be better. What goes down has to be worse. That's not true. Look at the metaphysics of reality. We say the more dense the subject is, the stronger it is. So iron is so dense it can cut through wood. It's so strong, right? Well, look at the least dense thing, air. Air will deface iron. Just give it enough time. Enough time, air will destroy iron. Iron doesn't destroy air. Iron can't even cut air. Iron can't grasp air. Air will escape. Now look at this. What is more physical, air or water? Well, water is more physical. You can actually feel it when you touch it. And it goes down, air goes up. Well, air picks the water off the ground, takes it through the clouds, and carries it thousands of miles. So obviously air is superior than water. So we find that which is intangible has a superior over or that which is tangible. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah, he doesn't look at your sawarakum, and he doesn't look at your shapes, and amwalikum, he doesn't look at your money. وَلَكَنْ يَنْظُرْ إِلَىٰ أعمالكم وقلوبكم. Rather, he looks at your actions and your hearts. The heart is the thing is unseen. No one can tell another person why someone's doing something. A lot of people like to sit in a circle and analyze. Oh, see that little smirk right there? That's because he thinks he's better. See that little hand movement? That means he was having anxiety. They don't know that. Maybe it could be his blood sugar's low. It could be a million other reasons. He might be thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it's scared him while he's talking to people. And he think, oh, he's afraid of the people. No, that was for fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that which is intangible has a superiority over that which is tangible. Allah doesn't look at our shapes and our forms, our colors, our sizes. Are we pretty or ugly? He don't care. Allah don't care. It's all a test. Ugly people are a test for beautiful people. Beautiful people are a test for ugly people. Rich people are a test for poor people. Poor people are a test for rich people. Strong people are a test for weak people. Weak people are a test for strong people. Allah created everything in pairs. This is the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's most wise in His creation. So this thing about salat on the Prophet ﷺ, Allah says, Inna Allaha wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Indeed, Allah and His angels are praying on the Prophet ﷺ. Oh, you believe? Pray upon him and send your complete peace. It is mentioned that no person prays on the Prophet ﷺ one time except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him 10 hasanat and He erases from him 10 sayyat. And it's mentioned that no person prays on the Prophet ﷺ one time except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prays on him 10 times. We go back to the argument between awliya and the fuqaha, between the saints who are dealing with the spirit of Islam and the fuqaha who are dealing with the law of Islam. They argued, which is more virtuous? Reciting Quran or reciting Salla of the Prophet ﷺ? The obvious answer is Quran. It's Allah's speech. But the obvious answer isn't always true. Because Allah says for every ayah, you'll be written 10 rewards. For every letter you recite, you're written 10 rewards. Allah says when you recite Salla on the Prophet ﷺ, you are being prayed on by Allah 10 times. So which is more rewarding? Allah's prayer upon you or Allah's reward for you? One, you're getting Allah. The other, you're getting something other than Allah, His reward. Hasanah is other than Allah. Allah praying on you is like getting Allah. So the awliya Allah, they say no. Actually, reciting Salla on the Prophet ﷺ is actually more virtuous. It has a superiority and it has something that Quran doesn't have. That it can give a person a station closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he can't get from reciting Quran alone. We've been commanded to pray to the Prophet ﷺ. So we're not supposed to be ignorant people. We're not supposed to be small-minded people where, oh, if this is this better than that, so I do this, I don't do that. No, Quran is wajib. It's wajib to recite Quran in your life. It's also wajib to recite Salah of the Prophet ﷺ. Quran must be recited for one purpose. To love Allah. If you're not reciting Quran to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your recitation is not helping you at all. If you're not reciting Quran to get Allah's love, this is sifatullah, it's Allah's attribute. How do I know who Allah is? I know what He likes, what He dislikes, how He thinks, and how He acts by His Quran. And when I recite Quran, I'm learning about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then, if you're not reciting Salah of the Prophet ﷺ because out of love of the Prophet ﷺ, you're not getting anything out of your salah. And if you're being a Muslim and you don't love Prophet ﷺ and you don't love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, none of your Islam helps you at all. You get zero. And loving Prophet ﷺ is actually the key. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, loving Allah is the key, but loving Prophet ﷺ is those nooks and crannies on the key that opens the lock. Love of Prophet ﷺ is everything in Islam. A person who doesn't have love for Prophet ﷺ, he has no benefit from Islam. And you'll see in his character, you'll see him say evil things and accuse people of evil things. And he'll say, I'm better than him, my religion is purer than other people's religion. And rather, his religion is gross, ugly, disgusting, and disturbing in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقُولِ كَادَ هَذَا اسْتَغْفِرُ لَمِي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله الكريم أما بعد. Rahmatan lil alameen. Allah says, Rahmatan lil alameen. Mercy for all the words. وَكَانَ قَابَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى. The one who was 2 bows length or closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. We've raised for you, O Prophet of Allah, your remembrance. He says, قُلْ إِن تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي. Say, if you love Allah, follow the Prophet of Islam. مَنْ تَمَسَّكُوا بِسُنَّةِ إِنْدَ فَسَادُ أُمَّةِ. Whoever is holding firmly to the Prophet of Islam's sunnah, إِنْدَ فَسَادُ أُمَّةِ. While the ummah is going corrupt, that person, he is not affected by the corruption of the ummah. فَلَهُ أَجْرَ مِيَّةَ الشَّهِيدِ. For him is the reward of 100 shuhada, martyrs. He's getting more reward because they're going corrupt. Because he's holding firmer to the Prophet ﷺ, holding firmer to his sunnah. So indeed, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, وَقَالَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتُهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. That it's been narrated the end of Rasulullah جَاءَ ذَاتَ الْيَوْمِ الْبُشْرَى تَرَى فِي وَجْهِهِ. That when this ayah came down, the Prophet ﷺ came and there was joy on his face. You could see the happiness in the tears in his eyes. فَقَالْ إِنَّهُ جَاءَنِي جِبْرَائِيلُ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ. He said, indeed, the angel Jibreel came to me, caused me joy. فَقَالْ, and he said, أَمَّا تَرْضَى يَا مُحَمَّدْ. Are you not pleased, O Muhammad, أَنْ لَا يُصَلِّي عَلَيْكَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْ أُمَّتِكَ. That not a single person from your ummah will pray upon you, إِلَّا صَلَّيْتُ عَلَيْهِ أَشْرًا. Except for, I will pray upon him 10 times. وَلَا يُسَلِّمْ عَلَيْكَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْ أُمَّتِكَ. And no one will send peace upon you from your ummah, إِلَّا سَلَّمْتُ عَلَيْهِ أَشْرًا. Except for I, Jibreel, will send peace upon him 10 times. وَقَالَ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. The Prophet said, إِنَّ أَوْلَى النَّاسِ بِي أَكْثَرُهُمْ عَلَيَّ الصَّلَاةِ. Indeed, the one who has the most closest relationship to me is the one who supersedes him in one act. Sending salah on me. Remember I said, salah of the Prophet has a virtue over Quran. Every Muslim in his mind, this goes against our intelligence. But deen isn't always based on intelligence. Deen isn't always based on opinion. Deen is always based on what we think is the best way. It's wahi. Wahi's revealed to us. Revealed means we didn't know it. Now we know it. Now look, the Prophet ﷺ saying the one who's going to be closest to me and has the most right to me is the one who does the most salat on me. Not the one who recites the most Quran. Jibreel is saying, if one sends salah on the Prophet ﷺ, I'm going to pray on him 10 times. Jibreel is saying, if one says salah on the Prophet ﷺ, I, Jibreel, will send salams back on him. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم من صلى علي الصلاة صلت عليه الملائكة ما دام يصلي علي. He said, whoever prays on him, the angels come and pray on that person. Whoever prays the Prophet ﷺ, sends salah on the Prophet ﷺ, the angels come and send salah on that person. فَلْيُقْلِلْ عِنْدَ ذَلِكَ أَوْ يُكْثِرْ. So the Prophet ﷺ has told us, if you want, do a little salawat or do a lot. It's up to you. وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم بحسب المرء من البخل أن يذكر عنده ولا يصلي علي. He said it's enough to show the stinginess and the wretchedness of a person that when my name is mentioned, he doesn't pray upon me. This is not for the neglectful person. We're all neglectful. We all forget. Sometimes we're in a state, we're excited with the prayer of the Prophet or something. That's not what this means. It means the person who doesn't have it in his heart to love the Prophet enough to want to pray on him. Some people, their whole life, they do everything in Islam, but they never sit for 1 hour and say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. They won't even say, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for bringing Prophet ﷺ. They say, no, Prophet ﷺ is just a man, he's dead in his grave, na'udhu billah, and he cannot benefit us. He came, he gave the message benefits, Prophet doesn't benefit. This is what the Mufti of Saudi Arabia said. Message benefits, Prophet doesn't benefit. He's dead in his grave. Finish. What does Allah say? It says, do not say the people who died in his path are dead. They're alive, and Allah is providing for them. Prophet is not dead. It's mutawatir. It is mutawatir narration that prophets, not just Prophet, prophets are alive in their grave. And they're praying, they're continually praying. It's also been narrated that our actions are being presented to the Prophet. Our salawat are being presented to the Prophet. Prophet is crying to Allah for what his ummah is doing. He's ashamed of us. Prophet, we're not doing good. We're not winning. We're not succeeding. Saudi Arabia just threw a rave party in the desert. Something that's never happened in the history of all humanity. They threw a rave party, a 3-day rave party in the desert. Allahu Akbar. And those same Saudi people, the people across in Yemen are starving. The people in Palestine are starving, being bombed. The people in Syria lost all their homes and are starving. The people in Somalia across the ocean, just 100 miles, 200 miles across the ocean, are starving. And they can't help it. They said, no, let us buy our meat from the kuffar in America. And they can play a tape that says Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim over and over again. And the machines can slaughter it. And we can buy their meat. But the Somalis, the ones who live, our neighbors, our actual neighbors, who have more livestock than people, we will not buy their meat. Their meat is not good enough for us. But the kuffar, the ones who hate us and sit at tables and plot the destruction of the Ummah of Islam, their meat, that's the good meat. Allahu Akbar.